Hey there, and welcome to Young Not Dumb, a podcast for young adults who desire to lead by example and walk in truth. Here, we dive into your real questions and offer honest, practical answers rooted in God's Word. Our goal is to help you navigate life with confidence so that you can step into the purpose that God has for you.
Okay, guys, so I have some exciting news I want to share. You're supposed to be like, what? What is it?
Oh, what is it?
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Okay, so something exciting. My husband and I just found out that we were pregnant with baby number 3. So baby's going to be due in September. We're super excited about it.
I've already told like 3 people about that. I did not know that it was. Yes.
Would you tell Melanie?
Yes.
Like actually somebody else?
No, I think just Melanie,
You're
actually.
gossiping about me?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Not intentionally.
Guys, this actually literally happened to me when I was in college. My first pregnancy, my track coach, I'm going to call him out, sorry.
Yeah.
I went and told him, and he just thought it was like actual news, like we were sharing with everybody, and we hadn't like shared about it online publicly or anything. And I had like track members coming up to me like, "Oh, you're pregnant?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am. How'd you know?"
Well, see, and that's funny because like, I don't know, like, is that gossip or is that just somebody being an idiot? You know, because we're going to be talking about gossip today, and you know there are some of the nuances about it, but maybe we'll try to stick a little bit more to some of the things that aren't as nuanced and as that we can definitely nail down. But
there's something hard about knowing somebody else's secret, though.
Yes,
like pregnancy, even like there's just like. There's certain people you don't tell because you know that they're going to tell.
You know, I forget that for whatever reason, in truth, I really forget that women are pregnant. I do. You know, and it'll be like, oh, so-and-so's pregnant. It's like, she's pregnant. It's like, yeah, dude, she told you like 3 months ago. So like pregnancy is not something that I definitely spread around very often.
No, I was the same way with Ryan, our producer.
Weird?
Yeah. Ryan, our producer, he told me a few months ago that his wife was pregnant, or a month ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they announced it, and I was like, oh, Hannah, Ryan's and Abby's pregnant. And Hannah's like, we knew that. Like a couple months ago, he told you, Michael.
I think that's a guy thing because my husband's the same way. Like, I'm like, we knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But, you know, again, in reality, those things can be annoying. And I've done that before when I was younger, especially. Like, I like people that know me know that I like to talk. So and I'm talking about as like, just pretty much even as a teenager, if somebody would tell me something, it was so hard for me not to share it again.
Right, especially for young people.
Yeah, you know, and it's just like, hey, we're having a surprise party for Michael today. Oh, cool. Michael, I bet you're super excited about today. You know, like I just couldn't hardly help myself.
I think especially when you're in school, like with those people all day, every day, and you're like, that's your whole life when you're in middle school and high school. You know, it's
right.
So what would the problems be of gossip? Like, what are some of the issues with gossip?
Oh, well, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is just the hurt behind gossip. Like, just think personally, like, man, there's so many instances where I've just felt so hurt by people, even within the church. Like I've talked about with my parents' divorce, that's a big part of my testimony. Like, you know, people going back and forth or saying things behind people's back, that can really burn. You know, that's...
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think it destroyed, man, gosh. Yeah, as a pastor, you just see it destroy relationships. I mean, it can wreak havoc in a church. So yeah, gossip. Again, I think we need to try to talk a little bit about what it is, what it's not. But I think there's some good principles that we can guard against with gossip. And I'll ask y'all this question: Have y'all ever gossiped before?
I wish I could say no, but I can still struggle with it. I was actually with my father-in-law a couple weeks ago, and I guess we were gossiping. Were we sinning?
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
I don't know, but Melanie, your wife, said that we're acting like a bunch of schoolgools gossiping.
Yes, you did.
So I guess I wish I could say I don't, but I can still struggle with gossip.
I really tried to tighten my gossip up a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Whenever, like I kind of owned the fact that I kind of liked to gossip for a while. And I would literally say, have y'all heard the latest gossip? Yeah. Like I would say that to like a group of preachers or whatever. And literally, but this was the one that was like, this really changed me because I was watching a birthday party from Hannah. And one of my pastor friends was there. He brought his family down for the birthday party. And my wife is like recording a certain part of the birthday party or whatever. And you can hear me in the background. So have you heard the latest gossip about so-and-so? And I'm just like, ew. I mean,
It's not a good look.
yeah, I'm just like, that's messed up. And then it was probably around that same time that I was at another meeting, and I mentioned Bruce DeLange the other day, but I just remember this, that I literally was in a group of preachers and I said, hey, have you guys heard the latest gossip about, and I literally said that about, but it was cool and not cool, but it was convicting and helpful, because around that same time I'm trying to grow in this Bruce DeLange, this older evangelist, he just turns and walks away.
Wow.
As soon as I say, have you heard the latest thing? Boop,
That's
he's
powerful.
out of he went from being a part of the group to being like, I'm not a part of this group.
Yeah.
And what he taught me was something that I'd already heard before. But it kind of goes with the idea that it takes two to gossip, at least two to gossip.
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, man, so-and-so's a gossip. But I heard the old illustration, and it was this Southern preacher just telling a story, trying to figure out where he's going with it. He said, he said, Saturday, he said, I cleaned out my garage, I cleaned up my yard, loaded up my trailer with a bunch of trash, and loaded it up. And I went right down to the mall, pulled up and started selling it. And he's like, no, he said, I didn't actually do that. He said, I loaded up and I took it to the dump, because that's what you do with garbage.
Yeah.
good.
Wow.
So are you a garbage can or a dump, or are you the gossiper? But it takes two. Remember, you don't want to be the place where people bring their garbage, because that makes you a dump, which sounds like really bad. But
that's really good.
To your point, like gossip can hurt the person that you're talking about, but truly it hurts you too.
Yeah, it
Like,
does.
being the one that's harboring that or like sharing that, like then like you can become known for that too.
Yes.
And that's not of God at all.
absolutely.
And you
not.
may have the right heart when it comes to gossip.
It can. Then that's the thing, is you can have that. And in those scenarios, I just wanted to tell something. There's just some awful thing of like, ooh, I know something you don't know, right? And it almost makes you feel important in the moment. And that's embarrassing to say, but I think that's a part of it, is you feel important that you know something, that other old people are listening to me. But
Right.
but that's obviously wrong. But to Michael's point, sometimes you really can have the right motive, and maybe you're just going about it the wrong way.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. And it reminds me of this verse in Proverbs chapter 16, but it talks about gossip causing division. And it says, a whisperer separates friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really profound. When we're whispering and gossiping, you might have good intentions, but doing that separates friends. It can cause divisions in your relationships.
Yeah. I think everyone's been affected by gossip in some way or form. Like
Yeah.
you can pinpoint times where you felt outcasted or like the outsider, because even if somebody's whispering something good, you just kind of automatically assume like, why can I not hear about what they're talking about?
Yeah. Which again is our insecurity, but still we do have that insecurity. And we need to be mindful of other people in that way, to where, maybe we need to, be upfront. And so I can say by the grace of God that that's something that he's definitely helped me on. But we were talking about earlier just about some of the nuances. And it's just like, man, I don't know sometimes if I'm venting to somebody, if I'm trying to get some help. And I know that I think there's maybe some gray areas when it comes to gossip that I'm still trying to figure out. But I definitely know, one thing I know is that one thing to prevent gossip is to make sure you talk to the right people. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by the right people is generally speaking, if I've got a problem with you as an individual, you're the person I need to talk to. And if I have assumed the worst about you, because to me, some of the worst kind of gossip that I've seen is when, through my imagination, you said or did something, didn't do something, and I'm just like, I bet they know why, and then I proceed to go tell other people why.
Yeah, this all made up.
I start telling other people, oh yeah, they think they're so much better than me because they got this high paying job and they just got a brand new car, and that's why they didn't speak to me Sunday. They don't ever come talk to me, and then it's like, have you ever went and talked to them? Or whatever. But it's like you're actually gossiping about something. Oh, they think this about me, or wait, based on what? Oh, because they looked at me funny when I walked into church Sunday,
right,
or when I walked into class, or when I walked in for the family get together, so they looked at you, and now you can go tell everybody what they were thinking and what their motives were.
Yeah. And I feel like there can be some tricky, sticky situations with gossip, and like, okay, is this okay to talk about? Or is there someone it's okay to talk to about, but not? But maybe we should focus and first talk about like, what do we know for sure that like this is gossip, this is wrong.
Yeah, I think it's just like, is it edifying? That is the biggest issue. If you're talking and it's not for the use of edifying, then you probably shouldn't be saying it.
And what does that mean? Edifying?
Building somebody up for the good of something, right? Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. That's a verse in Ephesians chapter 4. But it's just the idea of, is this something corrupt? Is this something that's going to build somebody up, or is it going to tear them down? If it's going to tear them down, then it's gossip and we shouldn't do it.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of thoughts that get squashed of like, just with that, like, is this edifying? Like, is this building them up? Even if it's neutral, it's like,
right.
Does that need to be said? You know?
Yeah. And the one thing that Michael just reminded me of was like, there's this old song. I loved it. And I really practiced it through the years.
He's going to show his age right now, guys.
Now, I'm not going to say who sang it, how long ago it was, but it just said, go and tell Jesus on me.
That's so good.
When my faults and failures you see, if you are my brother, don't go tell another, go and tell Jesus on me. Amen. And I have literally taken that to heart, and I have gone and said, Lord, I do not appreciate what Michael said today. I don't appreciate what he did. Yeah, it's too late now, but you know, the genie's out of the bottle. But it's like, I go and tell the Lord.
That's so good.
And when I go tell the Lord, it's like, if it's legit, it just seems like I still have a liberty in praying. And then sometimes it's almost like, yeah, basically, can you go gossip to God about this? I mean, can you go to God and talk about this person? And if you do, it's like you do it in a different spirit. Lord, I really believe that Michael had this bad intention when he said this. And I just pray you'll get a hold of his heart. And if it's true, Lord, help me to realize it's true. If it's true and it's not a big deal, and I just need to get over it, help me to get over it. If I need to go talk to him. And I think that's one of the things, like, man, because a lot of times I feel like I can go and just say, you know what? I'm going to believe the best about him. I'm sure he didn't mean that. I'm sure he didn't mean anything by it. So it's fine.
There are things that roll off your back. But
if it keeps on nagging at me, then I'll say, hey, Michael, you know, you said this the other day, and I'm just, I kind of felt like you were kind of taking a dig at me. I mean, what's up?
Mm-hmm. And giving them the benefit of the doubt, like, is that true? Like, can you help me understand what you meant when you said that?
Yeah.
Or because that can be helpful. And I think that that's something that I'm learning with like some things just have to roll off your back, and like you can let them go. And I feel like I've always been under the more understanding of like trying to like let things go or sweep it under the rug or be okay with it. But if it's something that's still nagging and something that you're still thinking about or having fake conversations in your head about, like, then it is time to just go and talk to that person, even if it's small. Like, I feel like we're always afraid of like, oh, I feel like this is nagging, to come to them and like say something small. But if it's something that is causing like turmoil in your heart, or something that's causing you to have, you know, hard thoughts or feelings towards them, then it's like, I always think it's loving when someone comes to me and asks for clarification. Mm-hmm. You know, I never am like, oh, I can't believe you thought that, you know?
So what would it be? Would it be considered gossip if maybe you heard something, maybe somebody's harming themselves or hurting themselves, and you go seek counsel with somebody? Would that be considered gossip?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that would be at all. I mean, again, because what is your motive? Because if somebody's harming themselves, oh my gosh, I heard about, can you believe this girl's cutting? Okay, wait, back to Michael. Wait, that's not helping anybody. This is going to somebody that can help, somebody that can give advice. Like, hey, I've got a friend that's cutting, and what do I say to her? Maybe it's somebody else that's close to her. Can you please help me? But it cannot be just spreading it around. It's got to be for the purpose of trying to help somebody. And that kind of reminds me of like one of the things that we taught our kids. Our kids would get in trouble for tattletelling, you know. And to me, tattletelling is when you're just you're telling just to see them get in trouble.
Sure.
You know, I think it kind of applies. But it's like, if they're doing something harmful, if they're going to hurt themselves, hurt you, like, you need to tell. That's not tattletelling. Mm-hmm. You know, that's showing concern. That's trying to get some help.
What if it's something with like, my best friend is having sex with her boyfriend? Like, do I go and tell her parents? Do I go and talk to her first? Do I go and tell, you know, my other friend? Like, because that's harming, right? Like they're hurting themselves in their relationship.
But in that, I think maybe, okay, I think in general, the only person to talk to would be your best friend. Maybe the exception would be if like maybe you're in a good Christian community to where you can seek advice from somebody that doesn't know her, maybe like, you know, like maybe a girl comes to you and just says, what would I say? You know, I can see a scenario to where you would talk to someone about it just to maybe get help. But
Yeah, we've had that happen. Just like as I was a youth pastor and head pastor, we have things like that happen a lot. And I remember one particular scenario where the person wanted us to meet with that girl, with her parents, and then with the pastor there. And I thought that was kind of a good way of bringing it to light. It was no gossip. It was just, all right, there's a problem and we need to figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah. And coming at it from a place of love. And
Yes.
like helping them.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part that needs to be talked about too, is your heart posture and all of it.
Yes, it does.
And that's really the biggest check is like, what's my goal with sharing this?
Well, see, and then here's the verse I was going to share that's like interesting to me. And a guy in our church, Gerald, that's just got a lot of wisdom, but he had mentioned about what's not gossip, and he had used that terminology of if you're talking to the right people, it's not gossip, and that's kind of what we're talking. Who are the right people, and whatever. But one of the things he said, it reminded me of 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 11, and the Apostle Paul is like, I mean, just writing this open letter to this whole church and says, hey, I mean, and within the first 11 verses says, it's been reported to me from the house of Chloe and, you know, Mackenzie, I can't remember the other person there, but it's 1 Corinthians 1:11 that you got, that this has been going on in the church. So it's almost like, okay, so if you're going to come tell me this is going on, I'm going to use your name.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, and I think that's one of the things, but where does that end? Especially like, you know, I think a lot in church context, but like, you know, they sometimes say the pastor is the last to know, but it's like you don't just come. Too many people come to the pastor when they need to go to the other person. Just simply go talk to them.
Yeah,
don't talk to me. Talk to them. But there are cases to where maybe, you know, Paul needs to know. But in that case, and Michael mentioned this, that, and I've literally done this before. I don't do it maybe as often as I should, but to where somebody, like the scenario would be Michael coming and just saying, hey, Jesse, have you heard about Tavian? And I'm just like, oh, wait, hold on a second. And I'd get the phone out and call Tavian, want to put him on speaker and be like, okay, go ahead, Michael.
It's good.
You know, what are we talking about here? Just hold on a second. Tavian's not here, so it's probably not wise to talk about him.
Yep.
Right.
You know, so let's see if we can get or I might even say, well, do you mind if I call Tavian real quick? Or do you mind if you wait and we talk to Tavian together?
Yeah, or invite him in.
You know
on
what I'm saying? Yeah. But the thing is we don't want confrontation, but we end up causing more trouble sometimes, you know, by talking to other people that we don't need to be talking to.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that's something like in my own life that I have tried to apply, and I feel like it really squashes gossip so fast. Is just being someone, and it's hard. Like, I have heard somebody say one time, they were like, 30 seconds of awkward can eliminate like days or weeks or years of hard feelings down the road. Like just saying, like stopping somebody in their tracks, like as they're gossiping and saying like, you know, this isn't edifying. Like, I don't want to be a part of this conversation. Like that is super awkward and that's going to suck for, you know, the 30 seconds that it is. But then you have saved that relationship, or the relationship that, you know, could have been hurt by them gossiping about whoever it was and stuff. But in my own life, like I have tried to take the stance of, if somebody comes to me with a problem of somebody else, stopping them and saying like, hey, this is gossip. I want you to go talk to that person about it first. And if you don't feel like you can do that within the next day, I'll go with you and let's do it together, because like we want to come up from a place of love. And I think that this is something you need to talk to first about them, because biblically, like, let's talk about what the Bible says. Like, it's in Matthew, right, where we talk about how
to go to the person,
go about confrontation.
Yeah.
Which is first to go seek that person that you have a grievance with and speak.
Or if they have a grievance, if you think you think they have a grievance with you, even
right, which is hard. Like, who wants to go to someone and be like, do you have a problem with me?
Yeah. And I have to do that sometimes.
Oh, me too.
Because I'm a pastor and people have problems with me. You know, but another thing, it kind of goes with tattling, and we may have to circle back around to that Matthew order thing. I know Michael maybe had a few things on that, but I know that I think about the verse that says that charity covereth a multitude of sins, love, and that's agape. I mean, it covers a multitude of sins. And I think about this, especially with, if you're in school or whatever, man, kids mess up, kids do things, say things, maybe kind of make a bad decision with somebody they decided to go out with, whatever. It's like, charity covers a multitude of sins. Love, I mean, and I know we think about exposing sin all the time, but sometimes that just needs to be not to be anybody else's business.
Yeah.
You know what? I know that you slipped up and, man, you slipped up and experienced, or experimenting with vaping or, with this guy or this girl or whatever. It's like, you know what? We don't need to broadcast that.
Right.
I know it. I don't need to tell one other person. I'm going to tell the Lord, I'm going to talk to the Lord about it.
Yeah.
And, but you know what? You don't need to, we don't need to hear about every last mess up that you have. And I think if you bring the golden rule of Jesus saying, do unto others as you'd have them to do unto you, if we could live by that, do I want somebody else, bringing up every little mistake that I make along the way? Just give some grace,
right.
And don't take advantage of because we give kids a hard time about it that are in high school, middle school, but it goes to college, it goes on into adulthood to where it's like the kids in elementary school that make fun of another kid just to try to make themselves look better.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. We do the same stuff, but it was just a thought on, that there's some things we just need to cover. We don't need to expose.
Right. Like if somebody does something wrong and then you're the one that goes on sharing it, their sin then becomes your sin because you're gossiping. So you're both sinning in the situation. It should stop with you. And I just think about the people in my life who I know don't gossip or I know are not going to talk about me behind my back. There's just such a comfort and assurance with those type of people. And that's the type of person that I would want to be, where it can walk into a room and no one has to question if, somebody has talked about them behind my back or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. It's especially as Christians, hopefully that's how you stand out in your workplace. That's how you stand out in your school. And
turn and walk away, maybe, and
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. So good. Do we want to go over what the Bible has to say about, the order of events and if you have an issue with somebody, what that looks like?
I don't know if I have that.
Oh, okay.
I thought you did.
I just said Matthew 18. That's a good place to start. Put me on the spot here, guys.
Okay. We can talk.
Why don't you guys tell us the order of events?
I'll tell you. We can do it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, first, biblically, first, it's to go to that person,
Absolutely.
right? If you have an issue with somebody, it's to go and talk to them first, which is hard. It's so much easier to go and be get validation from one more person.
Yes.
But I will say every time that I've had to go and talk to somebody specific, I have the freedom to be able to say, hey, I'm coming to you first. I haven't talked to a single other person about this because I'm honoring you and I love you. And I truly want the best for you. And so I'm not gossiping about this. I'm coming to you out of a place of love. And so, that would be just the first step. Now, if they choose to listen, you won your brother over, right? If they don't choose to listen, then the next step would be to bring in one or two more people.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully they would listen for that. And all this to say, this is for people within the church, people that are Christians, brothers and sisters. And then if they still don't listen to you after bringing in another person, then it's to bring it before the church.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it also says if you, I'm not quoting for sure, guys, but if they still aren't to listen after the church is brought in, then you're to treat them as a pagan or someone that doesn't love the Lord. And so that's then.
And the passages, and just to be clear, that's more than just about gossip or whatever.
It is, yes.
Right.
It's an offense cause, but it could be gossip. But yeah, you go to that person but you practice that. I remember one time when I was working at Polaris, the management had this great idea of kind of making hall monitor people. So they just pick a regular person from an area and just say, hey, you're going to be this didn't last but a day. You're going to kind of be, because the girl that ended up being the one appointed, just dude, it went to her head, and she's just
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes, the hall monitor.
These young guys don't know SpongeBob though.
No, they don't.
I just dated myself.
I know.
Lord forgive me.
Oh my word.
But the hall monitor. But literally, and people are just oh my gosh, she's driving us crazy. She needs to chill. She's whatever. And she was getting on my nerves just as bad. And so, but I'm just
What were they monitoring?
like in this area, you've got probably 8 to 10 people that are working, that are going and getting parts, putting them in boxes, putting them on a conveyor, and you're just kind of trying to get stuff rolling, get stuff out.
What was her name?
Oh,
Oh, wait, that's gossip. My bad.
it's got stuff right now.
Yeah, but basically, I wanted to join in and just say, yeah, she's the worst. But instead, I was like, I just kept biting my tongue, and I couldn't bite my tongue no more. So I decided to say something, but I didn't say something to anybody else. And I went to her, and I was so tempted to say her name almost.
No, don't.
But I said, look, I said, you know that I care about you. We're friends, but you were acting totally ridiculous. And you really got to chill because you're driving everybody crazy, or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then she cried and whatever, but I was nice, but I think she was just trying to do her best at what the bosses had unfairly put her up to. But even in that situation, it's like, and I'm sure I've not always done that. That's one example, but
we're not perfect by any means.
yeah, but it seemed to diffuse the situation a little bit, and she definitely chilled after that. And then they stopped doing it.
That's good. I think the biggest thing too, like we all struggle with gossip, I think, some more than others. But if you've done it, maybe just apologize.
Yeah.
That's the first step. Like just, hey, I've struggled with this. Jesse, I've talked bad about you behind your back. Forgive me,
Yeah.
I'll probably do it again, but forgive me.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It is a crazy
don't
thing.
say that.
I don't know. But there again, that gets into the nuance of like, man, was I gossiping? Because I was talking about Ryan, but was I putting him down? I mean, I don't know.
I'm not saying we have all the answers here, guys, either. This is a difficult topic, and the Bible talks about it a lot, and we're still learning.
I think a lot of it comes down to your heart posture.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your personal, why you're doing what you're doing. Because it's so easy, especially within the church, to be like, hey, I need to tell you something because I need you to pray over this situation.
Yeah.
And you just told the last 3 or 4 people the same thing.
And that is like the thing, because it's almost like if you come in saying that, nobody can say anything to you if you say, I just want you, I'm not gossiping, I just want you to pray. And it's like, well,
It's still gossip.
yeah.
Right.
But again, it can't, there to Michael's point, sometimes you can really be wanting it to be better, but you're just going about it the wrong way. And it is, I really do believe it's hard. I think there are some cut and dries. I mean, I know that I don't need to be judging people's motives and then gossiping about something, basically making up stuff that I made up in my mind about them. I know there's no place for that.
Right.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is just understanding the harms of it. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways. Why we gossip is because we don't think about the harms. But if we constantly are thinking about, hey, the weapon of the tongue is a big deal. And if we're standing on guard with that, that's one of the best steps to avoiding gossip is like, hey, my words hurts. This whispering, this gossip, this busybody, it can hurt.
And it can drive a wedge between people. And then it really reflects on your character too. So you're not only hurting them, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting, especially the church, and your reflection of that.
Yeah,
So,
maybe instead of that, we can just lift people up,
Yep.
So let's talk about some good stuff about people. Hey, man, did you see how, what?
be marked by your encouragement, by speaking on the things that are true, lovely, worthy.
And I actually know the Polaris story. I got a ton of them. But
Don't want any more.
I know, but it's too late.
Ryan's giving us the wrap up.
I know, we got to stop. Yeah. I don't know if I'll end with this because it's a lame place to end, but I feel like stopping, but I can't. Listen to me. Okay. But basically there was a brand new maintenance guy and dude was killing it. He was just like, if you told him something needed to be
What was his
fixed,
name? Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
No, I can tell you because he's really
It's a
good.
good story. Good
Clay.
story.
Okay. But I come up to him and it probably wasn't I did it on purpose to kind of mess with him. But I just said, hey, I said, just to let you know, I said, I reported you to Ben, which is like the kind of
The head.
the system manager or whatever. And he's like, well, what for? I was like, well, I just went and told him you're killing it.
Aw.
I just went and told him you're doing such a great job.
Yeah.
And man, you were just on the ball. You know your stuff. You got it. You get stuff done. And I just wanted somebody to know. So I went and told the main guy that you're
Yeah.
killing it.
That's awesome.
You know, and it's
really
like,
great.
yeah, it's almost like, let's do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, be like me, be more like me.
Yeah, more like
That's what I feel like I'm saying. right now. So I feel like,
What would Jesse do?
I feel terrible.
No, I feel like before we end the episode, I feel like I have to put that out there of like, if we've been talking about this whole thing of gossip and you are feeling convicted, the best thing that you can do is to go in to speak to that person.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're like, wow, I have gossiped, the Lord is in the business of restoration, and like it's going to be awkward and hard to be like, I said this about you, or I did this to you, or behind your back, but I'm coming to you out of transparency and wanting, and out of a place of love, like confessing my sins to you so that you do better in the future. Right. So yeah, I just thought I would put that out there because I know it's a hard topic and it's something that we all deal with.
Yeah.
And can be hard. So yeah, what a hard place to end, but a good challenge, right? So
Yep.
yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Young Not Dumb. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. And we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or send us your thoughts or questions to our website, youngnotdumbpodcast.com. And hey, if you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend or leave us a review. Until next time, stay young but not dumb, and we'll see you soon.